I'm going to share with you now how to use the two different Vitamix jugs, because this is one of the most commonly asked questions that I get. And as already shared, there are in fact two jugs available, the wet jug and the dry jug. And aside from the difference in the blades, just the other handy hint, which is a very good one, is the fact that this one says dry container on the side, so you can't get confused between the two. Now, the wet jug is called the wet jug because you need wet ingredients in there. So this isn't the jug that you would put in a bunch of nuts or seeds or something like that and expect it to blend, because it's just not going to happen. And that is definitely a recipe for blowing your blender up, or at least making it overheat. So this particular jug is the one that you need to use when you want to make a smoothie, a dip, a dressing, a soup, anything that's liquidy. So we begin, just to give you a quick example, adding some water in. And whatever recipe you're making, you do want to make sure that you add in the more liquidy ingredient first. So if you're making, for example, a frozen dessert, you'll want to put in the fresh fruit before the frozen, because the blender will struggle with the frozen because it's more dense. So always go with the most runny or most juicy ingredient first of all. Next, just going to add in a couple of bananas here. This is just giving you an example of speed and power and all the rest of it, because you're going to be wondering probably how it compares to your own blender at home, or if you're considering buying a Vitamix as opposed to a high street model, you want to see how this one actually responds. So just a couple of bananas in there, and then as always make sure the lid is securely on. It's worth double checking, honestly. And then, because this one doesn't need much stirring, we can get away with just the plastic lid going on top. And then we're going to blend. So I'm going to start off with the variable setting, because we don't want it to be whizzing too fast or it'd be really loud. So I'll just give you an idea of how the speed works. And then you turn it up. And in no time at all, you have a perfectly blended smoothie with no lumps, nothing at all, which, you know, normally it would take at least twice as long using a normal household blender to get the same results. So that's the wet jug. When it comes to the dry jug, this actually is quite a marvel, and sometimes people say to me, is it worth investing in a dry jug? And it honestly depends as to whether you want to mill a lot of dry ingredients. What I have here is some linseed. And I'm going to use this to demonstrate just how powerful and fast this particular jug is for blending down dried ingredients into a fine powder. This is going to be useful to those of you who want more savoury recipes, who want to make more desserts, that kind of thing, because the powders are very useful in those kinds of dishes. So I'm just going to pour it all in. And once again, get the lid on. And probably for this, you'll be wiser to use the plunger just to make sure that everything is being milled down. But you're going to be pretty impressed with how quickly this does the job. It really is powerful. So let's get the speed down. And here we go. Turn it up. Okay, and we're done. And you won't have seen how it works, but if you take a look inside, you'll see there's like a tunnel. And it's how it works. It brings it down, it mills it at the bottom, and then pushes it back up. So it actually works very, very quickly, and there's no bits in here whatsoever. It's now a fine powder, so you can use that for flax crackers or some kind of dessert or pizza base, whatever it is that you require. So two very different jugs for two very different purposes. And hopefully that answers all your questions on the Vitamix.